Going live on Facebook at 8 o'clock in the morning. What time is that? 11 o'clock on the East Coast. Howdy, folks. It's me, Swan. And what do I have for you today? Well, let me see. Do I have the ability to put my earbud in? I don't know. Okay. So this is something that we've been doing for a while. This is our last one, Facebook Live. The High Tea Tuesday with me, Swan from Firebird Touch Therapy. We're going to be changing this format to, I can never remember the word. I always want to call it an iPad. A podcast. Yeah, that's what happens when you get over 20. You don't know the name of anything that's social media oriented. Anyway, so we're going to be doing the Swan Show from a podcast starting sometime in the next week or two. And then we'll just be posting them here on Facebook because the Facebook monster is however it is. And we would like to get a little bit more autonomy and be able to interview some people that Facebook's not so pleased with. Anyways, we always start high tea with a prayer because the way that you get high is not necessarily to smoke weed, although that's helpful, right, or do drugs, but to elevate from inside your spirit. And for me, I live my life in a spiritual, traditional way, and I like to start everything. We say that every medicine that we make at Firebird is cracked with a prayer. Every seed, that before we put it in the ground, we have a whole ceremony, ritual that we do before we start our planting, where we smudge and take care of the seed and the land and do offerings to make sure that the harvest that's grown is grown for you and the highest reflection of your luminosity, which is the way that you show up in the world for yourself, life, and others. So cannabis is a healer, as we know. Mary Jane is the ultimate healer, and all we are is the purveyor, the caretaker, and the ones who get to have the honor of sharing it with you. So the sweetgrass is really special to me. Sweetgrass only grows in one part of the world, and that is in northwestern Montana and the lower part of the Canadian Rockies. So sweetgrass is 21 braids, and it's braided into 3 strands for the Holy Trinity, and there's 7 strands in each braid. Okay, and that number count is very special. But this sweetgrass was grown by Leah Cottonwood and gifted to me. So I just want to offer it to you. It is called sweetgrass because it is. So we are giving you the sweetness of the world. All right. So this sweetness is for you, that you can have a sweet day. I should have checked my lighter, but it takes a minute. So okay, here I am. I'm back. Sorry about that. I needed to have some actual fire. So this, take the sweetness, this beautiful sweetgrass, the smoke. Honor your grandmothers, your ancestral lineage, all the things that you need today, that your life can be sweet. Life is challenging, life is difficult, life has, for all of us, nobody gets out alive, and we all have challenges in our life. So this sweetgrass is for you. I wish you could smell it virtually, that your day can be sweet and that you can have what you need in your life and that your lessons can come to you in a gentle, beautiful way. And then the other offering that we always offer up is tea. And this is from my dear friend, Heidi Jaguar Eyes, this beautiful tea set. We always offer water for our earth, right? Because our planet, without water, we have no life. So in my Facebook memories and, the Dapple situation, on the Rosebud Reservation, and Crow Creek was happening at this time last year. So we just want to offer up this water for you in your life, wherever you are, whatever you need, however you need the Creator to lay their hand on you and bless you in this way, that you can be fluid. Water gives us fluidity of our emotions, of our mind, of our spirit. So my sincere hope for you today is that you can have a sweet, fluid day. Oh, so we're going to offer this up for all the, it's going to be 100 degrees in California. We still have fires burning. So for the West that's on fire, we offer this water. For all of those who are living with hurricanes and torrential storms, we're going to offer this water, that it will calm down. So for you, grandmother, the water. Now, today, getting to business. fucking around. We have an amazing guest. Her name is Markie Esmailian. She is a brilliant scientist. Her and her partner, Deb, are going to be on here. We're going to be talking about cannabis, data collection of cannabis, why we need to do data collection, and how doing this is going to help us figure out how to use cannabis as a medicine better. So I'm hoping, we tried this last night. She had a really hard time figuring out how to get on it. I don't have an extra phone, so hopefully she's going to show up. If I can't see her in my results, then I can't see her. So, Markie, why would we do data collection in cannabis? What would be the point of that? Well, if you really want to take it seriously as a medicine, then we need to start creating some data. We need to start looking at the thread, the pathway of how cannabis actually really helps and really helps us work. But if I can't get my guests to get on Facebook, then we're not going to have a show. And I don't have anybody around me except for my dogs. Ah! There she is. She's arrived. Okay, so this is, with no further ado, Markie Esmailian this morning. She's shown up. We are connecting. Ah, there's Markie and Debbie. Good morning. No. Go the other way. Go the other way. You're sideways. Yeah, like that. That's perfect. Okay, now lower and then a little to your right. A little to your right. Markie, you're not in the frame. Yeah, there you go. Now you're too far down. Okay. What happens when you get two women with a PhD and one with multiple masters together on Facebook to try and have a conversation?
Wait, so hold on. I think we have to.
Oh, now you're gone. Hello. Oh my goodness.
Are we okay now?
Yeah, I can see you now. Okay, so hello. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, we're good.
Good. Okay, so these two ladies came into my life in a kind of a, I don't even know how. They just appeared one day and we started having a conversation about cannabis as medicine and how we can make really big impact in the world for the future. How do we get stoners to, like, people who perceive us as stoners, or our medicine is medicine of stoners? How do we get this to the next level of the mainstream so we can have an understanding? Because it actually, as we all know, there's many people who have seen this, understand how cannabis it's impacted their life, it's improved their life, it's made a huge difference. They're much healthier, they're away from pharmaceutical drugs, and they're thriving. So the way that we do that is we validate and authenticate how the products work. And that's where these two lovely ladies come in. So without further ado, why don't you both introduce yourself and explain to us, their company is called Illumesense, and that is to illuminate common sense. Okay? Exactly. So Markie is the creator and founder, and her wingman, Deb, has like super smarticles as well. So we're just gonna Markie, you go first and tell me about why did you, like, what happened for you that you were like, I want to create a data collection company? Like, who does that? What nerd does that?
Yeah, so what happened to me was I didn't have a Robin. I didn't have access to you. My father was ill and I was trying to help him. Coming from 25 years in healthcare, I thought, oh, this should be really easy. So I go to his doctor. His doctor goes, well, have you tried cannabis? And I was like, no, but I'm really open to it. Hands me a piece of paper, sends me to a dispensary. We get medicine for my 86-year-old father, come home, doesn't work. Makes him agitated, crazy. And I go back, get another product. So imagine
the products that you're getting are probably higher THC, right? They're probably.
At the time, honestly, this was before I was even involved and learned so much about cannabis and from you and others and in the industry. I had no idea what I was giving my dad. There was no guidance.
They're just, you show up at a dispensary, there's some hot looking chick with a bunch of tattoos and piercings who's like, yeah, man, take this home and give it to your dad.
Exactly. You know what? They didn't even ask how old. I mean, well, I had to get the medical card, so they knew how old he was. But like, nobody asked me what else is going on with him. All they knew is, it's for appetite, right? So several products later, hundreds of dollars, we gave up. We gave up, but it was gnawing on me. At the time I was in healthcare and big data space. Where I saw how data impacts decision making in healthcare and how it helps prevent diseases and how it could help clinicians to make better decisions and better choices for their patients. And this didn't exist. So something got ignited. I was like, you know what? I'm going to develop something that is going to help me and someone like my dad and millions of others that are in my shoes that are clueless, that they don't know what to buy, they don't have guidance. So I called Debbie, the scientist actually amongst us, and I said, what do you think? Am I crazy to think about this? And she actually laughed because her background is toxicology, right? So she said, no, I think this is a great idea. It's a huge need. And with CBD becoming legal, it even is more imperative for people to understand and have the data to make decisions based on data, whether it's a clinician or a patient. So that's how we started. It's because of my dad.
See, and this is what I love about all things that are awesome in the world is that everything is sparked from a personal experience. As soon as we decide to do something great in the world, if you track it, if you forensic it back to the beginning, there's always a person, a family member, a lover, a child that's inspired greatness. So thank you to Mr. Esmailian for being your guinea pig and for you not giving up on him. And then Deb, what's your impact with this? Like when Markie came to you and said, hey, let's do this. And here you are like a toxicology doctor.
Well, it's interesting because I've always been on the other side of the equation. I was always the person doing the testing of people who were taking these medications and looking at how it impacted their health. And the more we started looking at it, or the more I started looking at it, we saw these huge gaps. There were clinicians, traditional physicians that knew nothing about cannabis. And there were people like you that really understood cannabis, and people didn't know where you were or who you were or how to get to you. And then there were patients, particularly older people, that were going into dispensaries and asking a bud tender for a product, and no questions were being asked. There was no clinical information. They didn't ask about chronic disease. So there was just this huge gap that people were taking the medicine. Cannabis is extremely safe, but it is a medicine. It's a plant medicine.
Well, I don't know about extremely safe. I mean, let's kind of qualify that because yes, it's safe in the fact that you're not going to die from it, okay? But you can definitely have an incredibly awful experience from it. And you can have no experience from it as well. And this is part of the big problem that you two are trying to sort out, correct?
Right.
So why is it, okay, so now in the, nobody wants their data tracked. Like, I don't want, you can't know what I do. Like, Americans are very much like, oh, I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. So what is how do we get people, with your product especially, to want to use it? What is the importance for, Joe the plumber? Remember him? Remember who had Joe the plumber? Was it? Who was the Obama Bush ticket that Joe the plumber showed up on? Anyways, he's still alive, Joe the plumber. And when he shows up and, he doesn't know the difference between an edible or, something to smoke or something topical or a concentrate or a tincture. So how does data collection and people tracking their process, helpful to the collective?
Go ahead.
Okay. I think there's two things. For the patient, I think there's tremendous benefit to seeing progress. I think it validates what you might know, or I think you learn things that perhaps you're missing. So for me, I have had lifelong issues with sleep. I can't go to sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night, and I started taking CBD at night. And what I found was I woke up rested. I felt better. So my sleep got better. But when I actually started tracking it, what I found was my energy level went up, my appetite changed. And so when you track, you have the ability.
So what does that mean, Debbie, to track it? Like what exactly does that mean?
You know, in our case, we have a journal that takes you a couple of minutes to fill out. It's questions about what we call wellness indicators. So we ask you to give a number to your appetite. How good is your appetite? How well do you sleep? What's your pain level? And so we ask that, and they put that in. We ask about some of the medications that you're taking, whether it's prescription or cannabis or herbals or anything else. And that's put on a chart, and you can actually see that your pain level is going down and your energy level is going up. And it's related to that
Or vice versa, because if you have the wrong product, I mean, you know, oftentimes people will call me and they'll be like, I want to use cannabis, but I don't want to be sleepy. And so my go-to answer is use less. Just use less, you know, don't take so much.
Well, you know, the go, what is it? Start low, go slow.
Yeah.
You know, it makes a lot of sense because I said that it's safe, but it's important to know what other medications you're taking, things that.
Okay, so let's just, I want to stop you right there and talk about other medications, because, you know, there's a lot of people who are, I don't want to use the word prescribing, but offering cannabis to other humans who don't have medical backgrounds, who are not familiar with pharmacology, who don't, who think that, oh, cannabis is great, it plays well with everything. Well, that's just not necessarily true. So let's just talk a little bit about how important it is to really have somebody who's giving you medicine to understand the collective picture of your healthcare.
Right. Yeah, that's perfect. Actually, what you said is so right on, because that was the example of me with my dad. My dad has seizures, so he's on seizure medication, right? I had no idea if the cannabis that he was using was impacting the dose of the seizure medication that he's taking, lowering it up, you know, making it go, you know, over what it needs to go. So, you know, that's where the cannabis can be dangerous, like you exactly stated. So I think collecting the right data, collecting the RX data, collecting the herbal medicine data, over the counter, you know, you may not think over the counter, or even genetic data, right? If you have a certain genetic disposition, cannabis may not work, or may adversely affect what your other medications are working. So it is really important to get the big picture of health and also dissect it in a way that makes sense. So, okay, patient, you have insomnia, you want to take cannabis to
but
sleep.
You're already taking Ambien. So let's talk about the insomnia patient, okay? Oh, I've been on Ambien for 20 years. Like, I hear this all the time. How much do you take? Right. Well, I don't know. I take 2 to 4 pills. Okay. Well, what's the milligram of the pill? I don't know. So, like, you know, you have to, like, this is how clueless to our own healthcare we are. And yeah, I'm making fun right now, but that's an actual conversation that I have like multiple times a month, you know, is that people don't have an understanding. So the only way to really be like healthy in your life is to be proactive and to have a really great understanding of what you're putting in your body and how it's going. So let's say I have been taking Ambien for 20 years and I'm taking 30 milligrams a night. And then all of a sudden my niece says, oh, auntie, you don't need to be doing that. Let's go to the dispensary. Okay. You can just have an edible and go to sleep. So, you know, if I don't I'm like, okay, let's go, you know, and then let's say I'm just going to go get a gummy, and you know, I don't even understand the packaging, because the packaging says that there's 100 milligrams, you know, and I'm like, well, is each gummy 100 milligrams, or is there 100 milligrams in the gummy? You know, like, so there's so many pieces here that we could be like, well, I don't know. So how would your platform help, you know, auntie who's been doing 30 milligrams of Ambien and now she wants to go to a 20 milligram edible?
Well, I think the platform, I mean, certainly you have to have somebody involved who's looking at that with you. I always suggest that there be some kind of care provider that's got some background.
And that is what your program is about. It's provided for care providers. Like, we're going to be launching it on Firebird. I'm so excited about it. So this is not a platform that just, like, you know, auntie from Ohio can just download on her phone without any caretaker to do it. This is actually a tool to help providers like bud tenders or practitioners or doctors or even Joe Schmo, right? To help them understand how those chemicals and cannabis are working together in their system.
Yes.
So the journal actually sort of helps direct the person. We ask very specific questions. It's not just, a lot of people, you said, like you said, don't know the dose that they're taking. So we ask them, well, take your bottle and look at the bottle. What's the bottle say? How many milligrams in that container?
Drops?
How many pills are in that container? How often do you take it? And then we do the calculation for them. They push a button on the journal, and it tells them what their daily dose is. So it's very directed, and it's really good information, and it helps not only the clinician, but it helps the patient. I think it helps educate them what kinds of things they should be looking for.
Right. So let's talk about, journaling requires a little bit of effort from the person who's doing it. So how many hours a day are they going to be required to journal?
It's not hours, it's actually minutes.
Right. Exactly. So how many minutes a day will filling in?
Probably 5.
Actually, I would say let me qualify that. So the first time you go complete the journal, you're not familiar with it, just like anything else, right? It's going to take you 2 to 3 minutes to kind of figure out the questions, and after the first day, it becomes kind of a routine, just like learning to use a new tool for your lifestyle. So it should take less. Hopefully more than 2 minutes a night. I read in my bed, so I am always looking at stuff. So 2 minutes of my time to guide me, to tell me, hey, if my cannabis is working properly with my RX that I'm taking, my Ambien, or my cannabis is working, with my other over-the-counter herbal medicine that I'm taking, I would take that time to look at it, to educate myself. But
and to maybe go over it with your doctor, because, like a lot of medications, pharmaceuticals are not things that you just drop and stop, because there's if you're on a psychotropic medicine, if you're on any kind of, mood altering substance, it takes a while to get into your system as well. It takes a while to get out. So, like I always tell people that beta blockers don't really work with cannabis. They use the same receptors. So within your structure, is there knowledge to be gained as well? Like as I fill out my journal, is it like, danger, Will Robinson, don't mix cannabis with that? Like, are there any red flags that come up, like Coumadin? Coumadin is something that does not play very well with cannabis because it's a blood thinner and cannabis is a vasodilator, and together all of a sudden, you cut yourself, you're bleeding out. Nobody ever thinks about that. They don't understand, just because it's a plant, it's not dangerous. It is dangerous.
We also have alerts, what we call alerts for the clinician. So when the patient first fills out their health questionnaire, there are a couple of areas that we highlight. So we highlight allergies. If they have allergies, we want people to know that. If they've had genetic testing and they know what that genetic testing is, it's really important. Because like I said, it not only affects, how fast they might metabolize a drug, but it also may impact how they metabolize the cannabis itself.
And this is important. This is where the journaling really comes in important, because you're going to start to see, okay, those two, like there's a very loose rule of thumb that pharmaceuticals and cannabis need to be 2 hours apart. Pharmaceuticals, not pharmacal. Is that a word? Pharmaceuticals and cannabis need to be 2 hours apart. Do you agree with that, or can you speak on that as a clinician, maybe, or as a scientist, as a toxicology?
I think it's probably a good rule of thumb. I am a scientist, but I'm not, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a nurse, so I'm a little hesitant. It's probably a good rule of thumb, but some of those things, I think again, that's part of the reason why we set up the platform the way we did, was we really wanted people to be open about what they were doing. I think a lot of people were very they didn't want to tell their doctor. They were afraid to tell the doctor. And that's really the wrong path. Right. There's obviously some instances, veterans and things like that I understand why they may not, but it's really very dangerous.
But that is a huge problem in our healthcare. If people do not feel the safety to tell their doctor, especially their primary care physician, what they're up to.
Right. And that's why it was so important for us, Robin, to have a bidirectional platform. Usually what you see out there with apps, you just put in a unidirectional, my experience. There's no validation by a clinician or someone that knows what the heck is going on with the other stuff that you're taking to validate, yes, to keep you safe, to validate that the medicine is working. So having a bidirectional platform where the clinician can actually see the health history of the patient and see the daily journal and see what the big picture of their health, to be able to guide them and say, you know what, you may want to wait 2 hours or 4 hours before you take your Ambien, when you're doing the cannabis, or any kind of guidance like that has to be a bidirectional a proposition between the patient and the clinician working together. It's not oh, I feel, good and my pain has gone away in a happy face. That means nothing.
Well, I think the other thing too is that the information that we provide to the patient it's kind of that line chart. The clinician sees that as well. So it's a mechanism to spark conversation.
So let's say I have the journal on my app, on my phone, and I'm tracking my stuff, and then I go to my primary care doctor. I'm able to pull up that journaling, right? And be like, okay, well, here's my experience of when I used cannabis and when I didn't, and how this actually helped me or didn't help me, and how it made the pharmaceutical react or not.
Also the side effects. So we're tracking also the side effects of cannabis. So you as a clinician who's helping the patient can say, okay, well, let's look at it. You have, dizziness. Let's look to see, what you need. Maybe it's a combination of things you need to take. Maybe you need to take a vape, during the day and an edible at night or whatever. I mean, you can adjust based on side effects and based on how long it took for the patient to actually have an effect. So first of all, how much time to affect. So I smoked my cannabis or I took the tincture. It took me 30 minutes to start having relief of pain. And how long did it last? Did it last 2 hours, 3 hours? That really helps not only the patient to figure out, how this medicine is working, but also for the clinician to say, wait a minute, this shouldn't take 30 minutes to affect. It should maybe I should add an edible so it, the effect is quicker, like, not edible, but something else.
Right, exactly. So all things, because and it's true what you're saying, the way that cannabis is ingested really matters on the way that it hits the blood-brain barrier, the way it affects the body. This is huge for people and they don't understand it. Like, should I put it under my tongue or should I put it on the side of my mouth? Well, that doesn't really matter. Okay. What matters is, did you chew it and swallow it, or did it break up in the saliva, or did you inhale it, or did you rub it on your body? So you've done a little data collecting for us, right? We've tried to get some clients for you. And is there anything on that you can share with us?
Yeah, you want to share the anxiety and sleep?
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the things we found that was sort of interesting is that, and this is probably pretty common, is that frequently people come to us come to cannabis or a clinician with more than one problem. The primary one, we ask primary and secondary, but sometimes what's the most important thing to them is, I have sleep issues. So what we find is that they start tracking and they realize that there's other things that are really symptoms that they're trying to resolve as well, like anxiety. And it may actually be that the anxiety is really what's causing the sleep problems.
Right, exactly. And that's where journaling really comes in. Then you really start to see.
Right.
Well, and the other thing that's so important is that a product that may be good for sleep only may not be the best product if you're trying to relieve sleep and anxiety. And the journal will help you with that too. Because you may see a plateau and you may say, well, okay, something's not right. What else do I need to do? And again, you spark a conversation. You go back to a clinician or somebody and say, I'm just not getting the relief that I'm supposed to. And so you pick a different product, but that trial and error, and in Markie's case where you give up, to me is just tragic.
Yeah, and that happens a lot because not all cannabis products are created equally. And, oftentimes people will call me with a product that I didn't make. And, I don't feel that it's ethical for me to speak on dose or give direction on something that I didn't make. So
Right.
I think it's a real problem in the cannabis industry is that the creators and the clients are as far apart as the pharmaceutical industry is. There's not like, this is, I'm so fond of saying, this is homeopathy, this is herbal therapy. You are a plant, you are taking a plant. The way that you respond to it is going to be very different. It's like a thumbprint. We, all three of us could take the same product and have a different reaction to it because we're three different people with three different biological makeups. So this leads me to my favorite topic. Strains. I hate having the conversation about strains. So can you guys speak a little bit about how it's the compound of the cannabinoids as opposed to the strain of the plant?
Sure.
I think that there's probably, we could spend an hour just talking about strains.
Hours.
But most people in the industry are moving to what we call chemovars, where we actually know the ratio of cannabinoid. We know what terpenes are in there. We know what flavonoids are in there. What they found when they'd gone to test a sour diesel, a sour diesel on one coast may not be the same as the sour diesel.
Or if all three of us grew it, it would be a different plant.
Exactly.
Right.
And so it's really important when we track and we ask questions, we ask that. We don't ask strain. It really doesn't mean anything anymore, unfortunately. So we ask about a chemovar. We say, look again at that package and how much cannabinoid or how much THC is there, how much CBD is there, how much CBG or CBC or whatever.
Terpenes.
We want to know terpenes because terpenes actually do have health benefit and they're part of that entourage effect. And so it's really important to know all the compounds in there. Right. Carrier oil is as well is important. We ask that because that may have an impact on how somebody absorbs it.
Yeah. And that's why I love your products, Robin. It is taking a holistic approach to plant medicine. You see only people pushing this, cannabis. Yes, cannabis sometimes can be even better if you know what you're doing with other herbs to bring into the cannabis to enhance the effect, to heighten the medicinal value of the cannabis. And that's why I think what you're doing is amazing.
Well, I actually have a background and education in herbology, which is something that is lacking a lot in the cannabis industry, is education of people who are, manufacturing and providing medicine. So, when I came into cannabis medicine, I was like, 7. So I grew up learning about, the plant and the way to mix it. Cannabis is a catalyst. So it affects other plants. In the plant wheel of medicine, it's a center sitter, which might not mean a lot to people. But as a center sitter, it means that it activates all the other plants. Like we make a product called Fire Kitty, which is a combination of 7 herbs, and one of them is cannabis. And it is the cannabis that synthesizes everything else and makes it, just come home for power. And this is something where, like people don't understand that, plants are powerful things. If you eat a wild mushroom, you might die. So, cannabis is the same way. We can toxify ourselves with THC. I've watched it happen. So I'm really excited that you guys have done this and created a platform for people to be more proactive in their own life. And what have you found in your data collection of our tiny little group of folks that you watched?
So, interestingly enough, first of all, what we saw, everything that we see, by the way, is anonymized. That means we don't know who's writing it. We don't know. I mean, everything is
right. It's all anonymous. Make sure you guys all know that. So these ladies don't know your name. They don't know where you live. All they know is the baseline stuff, so we can track how many 55-year-olds are doing this or whatever.
Exactly. So we see female, male, age. We see what the condition was that they came to you for, and it was mostly a cancer, and there was some addiction that we saw. But interestingly enough, the primary condition that they listed was really caused, and good for you too, because when we read the notes to you, it depicted or explained and to us that why your medicine works. So they came to you, let's say, for cancer. and they took the medicine, but then we see all these other conditions they listed under secondary, which was mind-boggling for some of them. I'm like, oh my God,
I
good
know
luck,
some of you
Robin.
guys live with a lot of things. You're really powerful people.
Yeah, and then how your approach to helping them, they listed how you help them, and clearly you were looking at the big picture, although you didn't have a tool like what we have.
I just have a very big Armenian brain.
Exactly.
In many ways, right?
We need to do a data dump from your brain, Robin.
Yeah, so what we saw that honestly, it spoke to more to your approach and helping your patients than because we had limited data and we didn't have a journal, right? We had one snapshot. We had a snapshot, and the snapshot said that Robin is taking the whole person approach. So to looking at other things that is going on to say this is right medicine for you and take it versus just cancer or anxiety.
Right.
Does that make sense? So
yes, it does. It does. And I just want to this is kind of I'm reading the feed in front of me, and people are talking about sativa and indica. So I just really want to say this, okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter, people. Okay, so here's the deal. When it's grown and you're smoking it, sativas and indicas are very different because they're different plant structures. So when you are decarboxylating by puffing on the plant, you're going to get a different experience. But once we compound it into a concentrate, it doesn't matter that it was indica or sativa. It goes away. And when you go to a dispensary and you're buying something that says, oh, this is an indica or this is a sativa and it's an edible or a topical, it is manipulated with terpenes, people. It is terpene manipulated. This makes me nuts. I'm sorry. This is like, I'm so passionate about this. It is not a fucking sativa plant. It is not an indica plant. It is a terpene profile that they are dictating how you feel. So if you just want to do an edible and you don't want to get tired, then look for something that says sativa, but honestly, just take less. Just take less. Super easy. Just take less.
Right.
Good luck.
Totally.
Feel like a sativa. You want to go down? Take a lot.
It's really about the chemovars, like Debbie said, and I think people pay a lot of money to get the highest high, right? For recreational users. And someone asked me actually, said, oh, I want to order this because it has this % of THC, and for my, I want to maximize my dollars for what I'm getting. And I said, this is all a myth. It's advertisement.
Advertising, people.
This is like you're paying more because they could sell you on that concept. It's a plant, and how the % of product in there is going to be different from how you observe. So you can get as high of a plant and pay as much as you want, but if your body is going to absorb just whatever it's ready to absorb, that's the amount of high you're going to get. You're not going to get higher than higher.
Right, you're not going to get higher because it's 32% THC, because you're just going to piss it out, like you are a sponge. We are sponges, and we can only take more. Something that I really encourage my clients to do is to microdose, because if you take a sponge and you drop it in a bucket and it fills up and you pull it up, a bunch of water is going to fall down. You're going to have a lot of waste. But if you take a spoon and you fill that sponge up, it is going to get big and fat and no water will fall down, and it will be completely saturated. So this is where journaling, this is why these two ladies are so important to me, how I feel like they're validating this as a medicine, and they're giving you, the individual, the opportunity to be in control and powerful in your approach to your own healthcare, and to start to get an understanding of what's really working for you.
Correct.
Exactly.
Empowering.
We're a huge advocate of people taking responsibility for their health care. Sure, you want to have your doctor or your clinician or your caregiver be part of it, but patients ultimately have a really good idea of when something's not right.
Correct.
And they need to listen to that, and they need to talk to people about it. But being part of your own health care and using that journal and really tracking it is sort of that first step to, you know, empowering people to really be part of it, not just sit back and have people tell them what to do.
Right. And you're never going to get well if you think someone's going to let y'all know that right now. You are an individual, autonomous being, and you must become proactive in your own health care to heal. Because as long as you have it outside of yourself, you're a victim of it. And until you bring it into yourself and take ownership of what's going on with yourself, only then can you become empowered.
Right. So beyond, you know, the initial setup, honestly, less than 2 minutes a day, less than 2 minutes a day. It's less than what I brush my teeth.
So you can do it while you're going poo. And it's on your phone. The wonderful thing is that this platform that these beautiful women have created is on your phone. So it's not like you have to go to your laptop. It will be soon enough. Soon enough. It's on your phone. Don't worry. By the time you see it, it's going to be on your phone. Until then, you have to go to Firebird Touch Therapy and get on the platform. And, you know, and we're happy to, you know, over here at Firebird, we want to collect your data. You know, it's not, we want to collect it because we're sneaky and we want to sell you something. No. We want to collect it because we want to create a bigger picture and a greater understanding. So as our children come up, we can look to this beautiful plant that has been with us for always, since always, on all 7 continents. And we can have a deeper understanding of how it actually feeds our body, because we're genetically designed to receive cannabis.
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that a lot of people who are using CBD now, they even buy it on TV, right? I mean,
okay, can we just talk about how, like, hemp CD, which is what you're buying, an industrial plant that's been processed, mostly grown in China or Holland. A lot of American CBD is coming from Holland. Okay. Do you even know what CBD means? I like to ask people, do you know what that means, CBD? Cannabidiol. That's what it's called. It's an acronym for cannabidiol. And in it, there's this whole chain of molecules that come with it. It's like the parent of it. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but, like, don't buy shit from TV, period. And don't go to Sprouts or Whole Foods and pay top dollar for crap. Just don't do it. You're not going to feel better.
Right. So it actually will guide them to see if they bought crap, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you want to know either way. You want to know, you know, I spent $75 on this oil and it's not doing anything for you or for me, and then give up. Instead, you know, track it and then do something about it. Take action. This is your health. And if you would go back to your doctor if the medicine didn't work or it had side effects and stuff. Here, we go back to the dispensary. They don't know anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, most times they don't know anything, or they don't know how to guide you. So it's important. It's important.
So you have to learn to guide yourself. That's what we're saying, because at this point in the cannabis industry, our dispensaries are not medical. They're set up for recreational use. So if you are living with a life-threatening illness or debilitating pain, you cannot expect your 22-year-old bud tender who has not been to school, who doesn't have any information or education on the 5 systems of the body, to be able to help you. But if you do a little bit of research and you use a tracking tool, when you go to the dispensary, you're going to be able to ask the correct questions. Okay. And that's going to help the bud tender be able to help you. Because even if they don't know the answer, everything in California at least has to be tested. So if you ask somebody, what's the terpene profile of that? If they don't know off the top of their head, then they're going to be able to pull out a book, or they should, if they're legit, and tell you, oh, the terpenes are A, B, C, and D, or it's, you know, this much THC and this much CBD. And this is what these ladies are offering you. They're offering you a tool so you can help yourself heal.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it's you can help others. So if you learn, if you're tracking yours, and then a friend talks about it, then you can say, hey, now there's a tool that not only allows me to track what I'm doing, but allows my clinician or the person who's helping me with the medicine, you know, see what I'm doing so they can optimize my care. So it's a bidirectional, again, a bidirectional, you know, proposition. So not only I am learning, but I'm also teaching my clinician or my caregiver, this is what's working, this is not what's working, and let's redo something if it's not working to optimize the care that I'm being given.
Well, and the other piece is that long term, as we get more and more data, we'll be able to share that with the industry. We'll be able to share that with patients. We'll be able to share that with clinicians, so that if they don't have the experience that maybe is in your head, say they have a patient that comes to them with, several chronic diseases that they've never really dealt with before. This will be a tool that can sort of get them on the right path based on what has worked for patients and clinicians working with those patients over the course of time. It takes a lot of data, but that's sort of the altruistic part of it, is that this will help future generations, so that people don't go into and try 5 or 6 times and give up, or spend hundreds of dollars and give up. That's just tragic.
Right. And on that spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're dealing with a provider and they're like, oh, you need to spend $3,000 on this product to heal yourself, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Over at Firebird, when we get a new client, we don't allow them to spend thousands of dollars. We only let them buy 1 or 2 products and say, does this work? Let's start. Here's our platform of starting. Okay. And then if this doesn't work, we can go up or down, but here's your baseline. So, if you're not working with somebody who has an understanding of a baseline, then you yourself need to get what that baseline is for you.
Sure. And it's dangerous that people have access now to CBD, hemp CBD everywhere, and they just get it and try it, and they don't get results and they give up. Where really, truly, if they had access to someone like you, or the access to quality products, and did it right with the right dose, the right amount, and all of that, right device or tool, then they wouldn't have given up and have this.
And they would have a really wonderful experience, because ultimately cannabis can pretty much treat everything very gently. I mean, cannabis is an amazing plant. It handles, the receptors are all over our body. They're in our vital organs. When the right product at the correct amount is taken, results happen, period. They just do. But remember, we're in charge of the market. We're the consumer. We are the consumers. So, don't spend your money at Sprouts and Whole Food. Don't do it. Don't buy things at 2 o'clock in the morning on TV. Don't do that. Like, look around a little bit. Don't get on Facebook groups and get something from Johnny Do Right in Indiana, who doesn't know jack all. You don't do that. And don't buy from people who don't validate their products, who can't show you test results. Just don't. And if someone tells you, oh, we don't do testing in my state, don't buy from them. Go to a state where they do test.
You need to be a smart consumer. And, you need to ask what's in it. You need to make sure it's being tested. You need to make sure it doesn't have mold in it. And, when you do it across cyberspace, you don't always know that. And it's dangerous. It's really dangerous.
Right, it is. So don't spend a lot of money on the internet, please, people. We're here to look out for you. We are the guardians. I think of myself as a guardian of this plant, and I'm not really interested in anybody liking me. It's not cannabis friends. It's cannabis medicine, and the quality of medicine and the quality of care supersedes anybody dealing with my personality. Don't like me, I don't care. It's fine with me. I'm super okay with you not liking me, but I'm not okay with you not getting the correct health care, and I'm not okay with you spending thousands of dollars on garbage. That I'm not okay with. So back to you guys and your fabulous product. So is Firebird the landing place right now? Are we the test zone?
Yes. So we are optimizing the platform to even make it better and more efficient. So everybody who's listening, as well as all of your patients and all of your consumers, will be able to go ahead and securely register with and log in, and it's secure and it's HIPAA. And we spent almost 2 years, Debbie, sweat. Debbie spent almost 2 years to ensure that we are HIPAA compliant. And that's not the case for a lot of products and software out there, I'm telling you, within this industry.
So people who don't know what HIPAA compliant is, can you just... What is it?
HIPAA was a group of laws that came into place in the mid-90s. And basically, there were 2 parts to it. One was privacy, that companies were required to make sure the data that could identify somebody was kept secure. was not disclosed. The other part of it was security. And so basically it's just a group of laws that says that if somebody is HIPAA compliant, you're following all of those regulations. Your data is secure. Nobody's going to hack it. It's not going to end up on the dark web. And the other part of it is that we're not going to disclose it to anybody that we don't have some kind of relationship with.
Right.
I don't want to get far into the details, but that's the high level part of it.
And that's the wonderful thing, you know, Firebird, I have been HIPAA compliant for, you know, since the 90s. I hate my iPhone. Okay. I blocked my calls and they're still coming through. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, me too.
The iPhone is not HIPAA compliant. Okay. It's not. And neither is your Samsung Galaxy. So it's a really important thing when you're working with somebody who is who is HIPAA compliant, because it gives us a different standard of excellence in the industry. Sure. And it also gives you a level of protection. So you know that your data isn't being sold. And so if you're working with Firebird and Illumesense, then you know you're safe. Your data is safe, and we're not going to sell it, and we're not going to use it to redirect marketing to you. We just simply want to know what products are helping you so we can help others.
Right,
exactly.
Right. And also
we can help you.
Yeah, the industry to make better products. And honestly, we want to capture the knowledge. You know, people like you are not going to live to be, I hope you live to be 200.
What do you mean?
But the knowledge is being lost. You know, the knowledge that has been existing for centuries, it's not captured. So we want to make sure that it's captured so we can pass it on to the next generation, like you said, Robin. And also be able to share it with the patient right away.
Share it with we're collecting your data in real time and we're coming back to you.
Exactly.
So if you're not using our products at Firebird Touch Therapy, it's okay. We still want to know your information, you know, because I believe that in your platform, do you ask for the product names that you're using?
Yes, we do. So if they're not using your product, Robin, we really advise them to complete a health history questionnaire for you before they consider using your product, and also just a daily journal for a few days for you to see and say, okay, so you're using this ABC product, and this is what I'm seeing, and this based on your health history, this is what I would think that the direction as far as
we're
product
going to take you on. Yeah. And so really important for everyone, this is free. We're not charging you to find out what's working for you. This is a free service that we're offering you. So we as scientists, practitioners, just women who care about the world can actually collect some information and make it better for yourself, for you, for life, for others. So I invite all of you to come to Firebird Touch Therapy, whether you use my products or not. That's not the purpose of this. Is not an infomercial to come and use Firebird products. This is, I love these ladies. I have a tremendous amount of respect for them and for what they're doing. And I see it as a practitioner as so important in our marketplace and in our medical place as well, not just the marketplace, but our medical place. In order for us, I can use their data to tweak my products. I have, I've been making stuff for eternity, basically. But since 2005, I've been really focused on cannabis products. And my products, even though they're the same, they've shifted, they've changed because I do data collection. I see what works for my clients. I listen to my clients. And I know, okay, so that terpene didn't really work as well as this one did, or that carrier oil didn't have the same kind of effect that this one did. And it helps me as a creator, a manufacturer, be able to make a more targeted product for the client. So it's so important. Your information is so important for us. And I just really encourage you to come over to our platform. We're not going to charge you. No one's going to know your name or sell your information, and share your experience and start journaling it.
Well, and I think the other piece is that there's tremendous power in data, that there are a lot of people out there that really don't understand the product. They're scared of the product. They've had a very sort of one-sided view of it. And as we collect data in a scientific way, and we really put that together and share it, that will help change people's minds. That will help people feel confident and secure that this is a product that may be a good tool for them to use.
Exactly. And it, it's taken us 2 years and talking to hundreds of clinicians and even more patients to build the platform and to put the logic behind it and to design the questionnaires in a manner that is really beneficial to the user. So it wasn't just, we didn't want to just create a telehealth or a,
right. You didn't create this in Google Docs, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's actually developed. Yes, exactly. So we are super excited to be able to offer this to you, Robin, and Firebird Touch Therapy, and all of the patients.
And other, I don't. Are you ready for other practitioners to get on board yet? Are you guys there? So this is also a call for all of you. If you're a practitioner or a manufacturer and you have a client base, this is not just Firebird. This does not belong to my company. These ladies are an independent agency, and they have created this beautiful platform, and it's available for many people. So I really am encouraging all the people who are watching and listening this to share, and especially share with people who are practitioners within the industry of cannabis, because the more people that we can get on sharing information and the more people that we can get on collecting the data of their clients, the better understanding we're going to have of the cannabinoid profile, how it works in the human body, and where it's a win-win for all of us.
Right. I mean, think of ourselves, and we are citizen scientists, right? Science does not exist. I mean, it exists in preclinical in mice, but really, science exists because of humans. So because of the effect that we feel and we report and see. So we are citizen scientists, we call, ourselves. So be that citizen scientist, because without us, knowledge is not going to be passed on. Without our experience.
Exactly. Without us, and we are the pioneers of this industry. Like Raphael Schumann, he broke the mirror for us. We've known since the 1930s that cannabis is medicine. We had it reaffirmed for us in the 60s that it fought cancer. So here we are in the 2000s, not really legal yet. We're still kind of in that gray area. So the more of us that bring this out of like the stoner sheath and into the medical light, the greater purpose this plant can serve.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So is there anything in closing you lovely ladies would like to say about your product or how to, get in touch with you?
Well, just go to Illumesense.com or go to Robin's. If you're not getting Robin's newsletters, you should. and go go to Illumesense.com and just register, securely register, and start your journey.
And if you're a practitioner, you have a different it's a different gateway through it, but it's a wonderful opportunity to accreditate you, basically, give you some tooth and some actual, what's the word, grit, that you're not just like all these wild notes everywhere. I have a photographic memory, so I'm able to remember everything that I hear or see, but that is not the norm of most people. So writing things down is very important, and it's how we remember, is by going back and looking at how we grow forward. So Debbie, anything that you want to say?
No, I don't think so. We really welcome everybody to come to the platform. We're very excited. It has been a labor of passion and love over the last several years, and we're just really excited to be here, and so thankful to people like you that have been there since the very beginning and kind of cheering us on and advising us, and greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm very excited for you. So Haley has put all of the URLs, all the ways to get in touch with these ladies and how to get signed up in our platform. They're all in this feed. Again, we just really want to encourage you all, because you are the engine that moves this train. So if we just do this little Facebook Live and it lands right here and no one ever watches it or sees it again, it's of no purpose or point. So you move the information, you, the human, you, the person who wants to see cannabis really grow into what it divinely is, which is our God-given medicine, five-finger healer. There's no other plant on the planet that does the 5 things that cannabis does out of one stock. And be mindful as a what's the word I'm looking for? I just lost it. Person who purchases, you know,
A
a
consumer.
consumer. Yeah. That's
Oh,
right. A consumer, right? I mean, that's what we're all in, capitalism and consumerism. So be mindful as a consumer. Don't waste your money on infomercials, and ask, you know, if you're going to buy CBD products, you know, ask, is this a hemp CBD or a cannabis CBD? Is this manufactured from industrial hemp? Was it sourced in the United States? Ask these questions, you
Ask
know,
questions.
be
Lots and
proactive,
lots
be
of questions.
annoying. You know, I always tell people that you can't ask the same question too many times, because repetition is the second law of learning. So the more that you journal for yourself, the more
Mm-hmm.
you get a deeper understanding. You know, people will call me and they'll be like, oh, I need cannabis for blah blah blah. I'm like, no, you need to go to a chiropractor, or no, you know, you need to do a forward fold. So cannabis is not the blanket treatment for everything. It helps most things, but it does not treat every single thing. And understanding what your other conditions are and what you really need is very, very powerful.
Yes, yes. So
Absolutely.
it's not a single molecule, single condition. It's a
Right.
plant that could affect many conditions
Right,
and
exactly.
many
Yeah.
stuff.
And you, like, my favorite thing, the Rabbi Hillel Silverman said to me one time, I love this, that the body is like the Talmud. It is double-sided and written in code.
Exactly.
There's no truer statement than that. And the way
Yes,
that we decipher the code, our own personal code, is through journaling. So thank you,
Mm-hmm.
ladies, so much for, I know, Markie and
Thank
Debbie, how
you.
hard you two have worked.
So
I know
appreciated.
all of the walls that you have hit, all of the frustration, all of the here we go, no, we're not. You know, so I'm super happy, super grateful to be here this morning with the two of you, and the brilliant project that you've put out into the world. It is a great blessing for all of us to be able to have this
Thank you,
information.
Ellen.
So thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. And again, you guys just follow the feed, share this, go to illuminescence.com, go to firebirdtouchtherapy.com. You know, start tracking your own medical history so you have an understanding of who you are, so you can truly heal. All right?
yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you
well,
so much
thank you so
again.
much, everyone. Have a gorgeous,
Bye.
gorgeous day. See y'all
Yes.
later.